there, folks. This is Tony with Black Dice Gaming, and today we're going to be doing our unboxing of the Green Goblin. Got ourselves on the Spider Foe affiliation, finally. Let's see what we got here. So it looks like Norman's going to be on a 50mm base. Fair amount of pieces here. Got a nice smoke trail. That should be fun to paint up. It looks pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy. They really love their two-piece heads, though. Alrighty, so nice, some new tokens. These are the burning tokens. So first things first, let's go to this affiliation card, right? So we got our spider foes, which this has been spoiled for a little while, but you know, Green Goblin, the leader, and that is the Norman Osborn Green Goblin, in case we get so many other versions. Carnage, Doc Ock, Kingpin, Mysterio, and Venom. So Carnage and Mysterio, some new, you know, some new characters we haven't seen sculpts for yet. Kingpin, his model was released, or spoiled over Gen Con weekend. But yeah, that looks like a pretty decent affiliation there. I mean, personally, I'm glad that Doc Ock finally has a home. So let's look at Norman. He has a lot going on, because the red side of his card is almost entirely different from the front. So, on the front, we have 7 health, movement speed of medium, size 3, and 4 threat, with a physical defense of 4, energy 3, psychic 3. The affiliation for the spider foes, their ability, once per turn, while an allied character is attacking, it can spend 1 power when modifying opposing defense dice. If it does, it can re-roll 1 opposing defense dice. Now, that is you choosing one of your opponent's successful defense dice, and then they spending a power to have you re-roll it, and hopefully turn that into a fail. The math on this, really powerful. If you're doing any kind of strike, most of the time it should pay for itself. It's almost always worth it, you know, to proc off, especially on big attacks or attacks where you can get power from, because most of the time you should end up, you know, being power neutral at the worst. His other abilities here, he has Hit and Run, which is he makes an attack action followed by a move action. And this is an action superpower. And he can only use it once per turn, so kind of a modified charge, where you do the attack first and then you move. Now, 2 power for that, you know, it's costed like a charge. It's a pretty good ability. I like it. And then Trick or Treat. This is the big one, and this changes on the red side, but on the blue side here, when an enemy character ends in advance or is placed within 4 of this character may use a superpower for 3 power. Choose an interactive terrain feature of size 3 or less within 2 of the enemy character that was moved or placed. Destroy that terrain feature, and then the enemy character suffers a collision with it. So, this is essentially Green Goblin, you know, mining up your battlefield, and if the enemy walks too close to terrain, you know, as long as it's 3 or less, you know, so you're not going to be blowing up any, you know, large buildings, but that Daily Bugle stand, better watch out. I mean, that's just, it's really good. I mean, it's kind of similar to a throw. It's still a collision damage, So all the stuff that would proc on throws still proc on this. But yeah, that's a hell of an ability. Then last, we have his passive, a new ability that we have not seen before. It's called Arch Nemesis. And so for him, obviously, it's Peter Parker. And when he's attacking Peter Parker, he can modify or re-roll skulls. And he can re-roll any number of attack dice. So this guy, really good against Peter. But, on the flip side, the drawback is at the start of his activation, if there is a non-dazed enemy Peter Parker within 3 of Green Goblin, he has to attack him first. And so that is the drawback there. But again, during that attack, you can modify all your dice and re-roll as many as you want. And it's any number. So you don't have to re-roll them all. You can re-roll only the ones that fail. So that's just a really strong ability. Again, only against Peter Parker, but still very solid. And then we got the backside. And it is almost entirely different. So his health goes down to 5 from 7, and then his defenses change from 3 to 5. So 3 for the physical, 5 for the psychic. So his leadership ability stays the same. Arch Nemesis Peter Parker stays the same. He still has flight, but instead of having the Trick or Treat ability, he gets Unstable Psyche, a new passive. So he cannot interact with or hold objectives. So at this point, he is crazy, he's not focusing on it, he just wants to kill. Now during the power phase, he rolls 5 dice. For each crit, wild, and hit, his character gains 1 power. So he's going to be fueling up a ton of power on this side. Which you can then, throw out for some Night of the Goblin attacks, which is another thing that changes between these, So on his healthy side here on the pumpkin bombs, you get to choose. It's 4 range, 4 dice. You choose whether it's physical or energy, kind of like Hawkeye, and then you gain power equal to the damage. So it's basically his strike. It's a very similar to Hawkeye's thing too, because of Bag of Tricks. On the wilds, you throw out bleed, poison, or incinerate. So, and then Night of the Goblin on this side is you choose again whether it's energy or physical, and then they gain poison and incinerate as long as that attack deals damage. But on the flip side, these change around. So, Pumpkin Bombs gains a dice, so it is now a 5 dice attack instead of a 4 dice attack. And on this one, Night of the Goblin gets a power reduced, right? Yeah, so on this front half, it's 4 power. On the back half, when he's wounded, Night of the Goblin goes down to 3 power. Pretty solid. So, and then the other thing that changes between these sides is Glider Ram. So on this front half here, he has Hit and Run. His, pseudo reverse charge. So on this half, he doesn't even have that. He just throws himself medium. And then, kind of like Black Panther or Gamora's ability, they don't suffer any damage on collision or running into terrain features, but the enemy obviously still does. That's a 3 power to move yourself, medium essentially, and deal 4 damage to a enemy. Seems pretty solid to me. And then to go through the cards here, so first one we have Blind Obsession. So at the start of the activation phase, any character may spend 3 power to play this card. And yeah, this is an unaffiliated reactive. The character to play this card gains an Obsession token, which is that bad boy right there. Choose an enemy character. While the character that played this card has an Obsession token, it adds 2 dice to its attack rolls when targeting the chosen character. The character with the Obsession token rolls defense dice. If the chosen character is attacking, add 2 dice to the defense roll. If it is not the chosen character attacking, remove 2 dice. And then the character that played this card loses the Obsession token when the chosen character is KO'd. So, not even dazed, KO'd. So he keeps this token forever. Yeah, that's ridiculously good. So against the target that you put this on, the character that you choose. So like, let's say, for instance, Peter Parker. Let's say my Peter Parker played this on Green Goblin. Now, Green Goblin would get more dice against me, and I get more dice against him. But against everyone else, those defenses are reduced by 2, and that lasts until they're dead. Yeah, I think you're going to be seeing a lot of this card in the future. Last but not least, well-laid plans. So we have a unaffiliated active card, and you need Green Goblin and Doc Ock. Nice! I was hoping we would get a Doc Ock card in here. So they each spend 3 dice to play this card. They roll 5 dice for each enemy character holding an objective token. The enemy character suffers 1 damage for each wild and crit. And then characters damaged in this way drop all objective tokens it's holding. The player playing the card chooses the order in which the enemy characters are affected. So yeah, that is, it's a lot of power. Don't get me wrong, 6 power in between them, but if Green Goblin is flipped, he can definitely get it. And Doc Ock has a lot of power generating abilities himself, so you could very easily get this off on turn 2. You probably don't want to do it then. There's not enough people with objectives potentially, but yeah, knocking objectives away, doing damage that they don't get any, it's not an attack, so they don't get any defense rolls against it. So yeah, it's only crit and wilds, and it's 5 dice, but I haven't done the math right now, but that's probably 2 damage in that ballpark, that you can expect most of the time. That's pretty solid, I think, especially depending on how many characters are holding objective markers. Yeah, so definitely depends on what mission. I think you want to probably play an extract, that would pair well into this, so maybe civilians or Thor hammers, something like that. But if you're running Doc and Green Goblin, I think probably makes the cut. So yeah, that was Norman Osborn, looking like a very solid addition to the leaders of Marvel Crisis Protocol here.